Hi, KTH. This is Michael from OTC Online TOEFL and you sent me some speaking and writing practice, I think, yesterday. And let's get into the writing first. I read and scored your essay. I put you at the high three area, 375 out of 5. Maybe you're probably between 22 and 24 points out of 30 on it. So I think mainly you have a few language use and grammar issues you need to improve upon, but overall I think it's a fairly strong piece of writing. Okay, so if we look at what you wrote here, right, I can see it right here. So maybe my first suggestion is a little bit longer introduction. Instead of, people can learn many things from different resources because you have advantages and disadvantages. You can talk about how some people go to school to get knowledge. Other people certainly get a lot of that information without going to school. So probably raise the topic a little bit more in the introduction. I think that would be effective. I think your paragraphs are nicely developed. I like this is 100. Yeah, this paragraph is almost 200 words. So let's do some error correction in this video. And this is a very powerful example here. You say people will get valuable lessons from personal experiences because these are practical and I'm going to say more practical and reliable than, so more plus than, some of the book information is not realistic. I would maybe say so. People cannot apply. How about these concepts, maybe? I would put in there. Although personal experiences are practical, people. I'm going to just put cannot get instead of could. Cannot get how about maybe if you put this in there, they cannot gain knowledge easily from those. You say some sacrifice their young ages or their valuable persons to get those experiences. Then maybe when you get to the example, you can say, yeah, introduce it with a transition word. This is good for the e-rater. Using maybe 3 or 4 transition words per paragraph, I think, is good. For example, when I was a teenager, I started smoking because some of my friends told me that smoking I'm going to say smoking would change it to that would make me a smarter person. I believe their statement. And I'm going to say here became addicted or was addicted. Or I'm going to say I became addicted to smoking. Let's add to this. So again, you need some more transition words. In addition, some of my friends started using drugs with their cigarettes. But I did not know exactly I did not know whether I'm going to put whether their advice. Advice is an uncount noun. I did not know whether their advice. Change this to was, true or false. One day, maybe finally, one day my uncle told me that his friends had used past perfect here, become addicted, and died because of drugs. I'm going to, instead of after, it's a little awkward, just say 2 weeks later, the detective found our drugs and arrested us. Then you can put as a result, I spent 3 years. I'm going to just put in jail. If I had followed my uncle's advice, I would not have been in jail, and I would. This is where you're having, I would have been. Yeah, the more I read it, the more corrections I'm making. I got to lower your score here. I'm going to go down to 22 here. I'm only in one paragraph. I made all these changes. As a result, I spent 3 years. If I had followed my uncle's advice, I would not have been in jail, and I would have been a good person. So in this case, we're using the past perfect tense to talk about a past impossible condition. So we have, my experiences taught me to be a good person, and I am a drug-free person right now. Good for you. You turned your life around. That's good. We all get second chances. Okay, so I think on this one there's just a lot of grammatical errors in every paragraph, right? So I'm going to give you 3.5, 22 points out of 30. So keep spending time in the grammar part of my course. Go over those lessons, really spend time there. I think that's going to be good. And if you want to learn a little bit more about verb tenses, I'm going to give you some key words at Google, and this can help you with some of your grammar problems in this paragraph. Here it is. Real and unreal conditions in English grammar. So make sure you understand what verb tenses you need when you talk about a present possible condition. If I have time, I will go. If you're talking about a present impossible condition, if I had time, I would go. Or if you're talking about a past impossible condition. If I had had time, I would have gone. So you need a little bit better control over that type of grammar. All right, so your score here is 3.5 out of 5, 22 points out of 30. And to help you with your writing, if you go to step 6, the writing part of my online course, I want you to take a look at TOEFL Independent Writing Strategies, Master Lesson number 1, and then pay attention to both the introduction. I think your conclusion is okay, but pay attention to how the model essays begin their essays with, I think, about double the number of words that you used, but I think you have developed your 2 body paragraphs very well, so that's good. I like that. All right, thank you. Listening to an independent speaking practice test you also sent me along with your writing practice. Let's take a look at the actual topic here. So the sample independent question is this. Some people enjoy taking risks and trying new things. Others are adventurous. They are cautious and prefer to avoid danger. I didn't say it right. Others are not adventurous. They are cautious and they prefer to avoid danger. So which behavior do you think is better? So basically, do you think it's good to take risks or not take risks? A lot of risk taking right now, right? Think about it. Right now, today, you might be thinking about going to a party with a whole bunch of friends. The problem is there's a pandemic right now. And if you mix with other households, there's a chance that somebody's going to get the virus. Now, you may get it and not even know it, or you may get it and get a little bit sick, no problem, but you spread it to somebody else and it actually kills them. That would be a very big risk right now. I had one of my neighbors in my neighborhood. He took a risk. They had a Christmas party, uh, a few weeks ago at their house, and he's now dead. He got the coronavirus and it killed him, 62 years old. Okay, let's get started. Here we go.
I prefer to take and try the new things because it will create the new innovation. Also, that it can be created a great future. Firstly, most of the people are afraid to take a risk. As a result, they could not create a new thing. For example, Thomas Edison invented the electric bulbs. He did the great innovation because he took the risk. He had a many failure in the past, but he had won as a result. He introduced the electric bus for everybody. The second thing is that people, if they take the risk, they will create the great opportunity. For example, the Tesla car company introduces the electric cars in the car market. Most car companies they afraid to take the risk. As a result, they gonna create the great future. Now Tesla car company is the biggest business in the world.
Okay, so I think I think you need to improve your structure a bit. Your delivery is not very good. I know you're working on that. I'm going to put you at about 2.0 out of 4, 15 points out of 30 on this practice test. So, what can we do to make this a little bit better? Let's listen to it one more time.
I prefer to take and try the new things because it will create the new innovation.
It will create, not it will create it. So when you have will is considered a modal. And after the modal, we usually use the base form of a verb. It's also called a bare infinitive. So I will create, not will create it. Now, if you say will be created, that's different. Now you're using passive voice, but that's not what you're doing here.
Also, that it can be created a great future. Firstly, most of the people are afraid to take a risk.
Most of the people are afraid to take risks, so don't leave out your be verb.
As a result, they could not create a new thing. For example, Thomas Edison
They couldn't create a new thing, but what are we talking about here? You got to get to some details. I need concrete details. This is important. I want you to go to Google. What is a concrete detail? That's what I'm looking for. How about this? Here's another one. Why are concrete details important in academic writing? So learn about that a little bit. That's going to be good too.
invented the electric bulbs. He did the great innovation because he took the risk. He had a many failure in the past, but he had won as a result. He introduced the electric bus for everybody. The
Okay.
second thing is that people, if they take the risk, they will create the great opportunity. For example, the Tesla car company introduces the electric cars in the car market. Most car companies they afraid to take the risk. As a result, they
Again, most of the companies are afraid to take the risks.
gonna create the great future. Now Tesla car company is the biggest business in the world. I prefer
Okay, so I think that my score is pretty accurate. I'm going to say 2.0 out of 4, 15 points out of 30. I think you could even create a tighter organization by being more specific with the details that you give. You did give an example in there that was effective, right? Okay, go to TOEFL Independent Speaking Strategies Master Lesson 1. You'll see that in the seventh step of my online TOEFL course, right? Check out that lesson. Number 2, speaking lesson number 6. It's called How to Make Your Speaking More Coherent. I want you to go through that lesson, get some ideas on that. Pronunciation, I don't know that you're making the progress that you need. I suggest TOEFL private tutoring, TOEFL private lessons. I think that's going to help you. Go over to bettertoeflscores.com, click on TOEFL private lessons, right? And you can purchase one lesson. Let's start going through the pronunciation lessons one by one. We'll spend 1 hour on every lesson. I got 58 different lessons. That's about 58 hours. I know that's a lot of money, but it's a good investment because I'm going to help you to speak more clearly. You're not making the improvements on your own that you need to, so maybe you should consider getting help from a professional. And I specialize in accent reduction training. Give me 2 months, 8 weeks, right? Let's meet maybe 2 or 3 hours a week. I guarantee you, I'll make a recording of your pronunciation in the beginning. You can compare that to recording at the end of the 2 months, and you'll be speaking much more clearly, I guarantee. All right? So your score here is 2.0 or 15 points out of 30 on this practice test.